Like, this is literally a fucking counter. It's a State Department propaganda point against Chelsea to, like, try to soften the blow of all of the horrifying truths that she unearthed. And there we have it. A Hasanabi head, friend of the show, Chelsea Manning, on Jake Tapper's broadcast.
Chelsea Manning in 2010. She was just 22 years old, an Army intelligence analyst and a whistleblower who shook up everything we thought we knew about U.S. wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. She leaked hundreds of thousands of classified documents to WikiLeaks. Now, to some, Manning is a hero. To others, she's a traitor. But after serving 7 years in a military prison, including time in solitary, she was granted freedom when then-President Obama commuted her sentence in 2017. Chelsea Manning is now trying to reclaim the narrative about why she did and what she did in a new memoir titled ReadMe.Text. Chelsea Manning joins us now. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So the book is about offering your side of the story about why you leaked 750,000 documents, classified and sensitive, to WikiLeaks. What ultimately do you think pushed you to take that extreme step?
Right. So what I think it boiled down to was this incredible discrepancy, this like cognitive dissonance that I had between what the public was, and I consider myself a very educated and informed member of the public prior to enlisting in the military and deploying to Iraq in 2010.
She's lying. She was a lib.
But there was this discrepancy between what we had access to in the public versus what I actually finally saw on the ground and what we as, a collective were really sort of seeing on the ground and experiencing every single day.
One of the things that seemed to motivate your action, you write in the book that, quote, we, the occupying military force, didn't actually give a F about the Iraqi people. I have to say that's a pretty sweeping thing to say about thousands of service members. I know men and women who served in Iraq who absolutely cared about the Iraqi people.
Yeah, I think that is a general statement, but a general sentiment. But what I encountered was the majority of people.
Jake Tapper cannot go for 3.5 minutes without sucking on a boot. Okay, he's like, come on, Chelsea, be honest. I mean, there's so many wonderful men and women who care about the Iraqis. Like, I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest. I think they were forced to do things that they were conflicted on and realized how fucked up it was, and that's usually the best you can expect. But this notion that like the American military went there to be like, yeah, we're gonna save Iraqis. Like, come on, bro. Like, holy shit.
We seem to care less about the civilian population, and we put ourselves first, which makes sense.
I work for the government. There's a training video about literally her and how bad she is. You can imagine how awkward it is watching them. That's so funny. Yeah, we know. I mean, I know. Personally, I know how the American government is not too fond of Chelsea for, for what she did.
To an extent, but I also got the sense that even whenever we were saying that trying to protect or have some kind of involvement of the host nation, nationals, if you will, it seemed to fall to the wayside or be seen as more of a nuisance than as something that we should be concerned about.
So the WikiLeaks happened in 2010. In an interview that year by a British television station, Channel 4, a Taliban spokesman said the group would punish Afghan nationals working for the U.S. that are named in the WikiLeaks logs. Now, I don't know of any who have actually been harmed. But did that not worry you at all? I mean, there are individual Afghans and Iraqis who were working with the U.S. trying to help their country. And they were being named, and it might put them in jeopardy to have their names leaked.
This actually got flushed out through the court-martial process. We were obviously.
Holy fuck, dude. He can't, dude, this is a book release, right? It's supposed to be a puff piece, but Jake can't fucking do it. Jake literally is like, well, why don't you consider all the brave Iraqi men that were working with the American security forces? Like, that's really fucked up. They were. Holy shit, dude. That's wild. Chelsea has more bravery in her fucking pinky than Jake Tapper will ever be able to gather in his entire life, okay? Unironically tortured by the American government for the brave actions that she engaged in. And here you have this fucking dickhead literally trying to make snide remarks about her brave actions, okay, that expose the truth, that goes against the narrative that Jake has so desperately tried to craft about all of America's supposedly justifiable and just and righteous wars. Like, remember, what she leaked, okay, for those of you who don't know, because a lot of you were young, you probably were, not aware of what the fuck was going on in the world. One of the things that she leaked was American security forces literally fucking killing journalists on the ground from a helicopter, okay? Straight up ripping journalists on the ground with machine gun fire, okay? Civilians. And Jake Tapper, who is who's supposed to be a journalist, is still trying to find one of the worst ways you could possibly frame this question. That's crazy. That's insane to me. Like, they were killing kids, they were killing fucking civilians, and then covering it up. And she leaked all that shit. It's on video. I've watched the videos. And this motherfucker's like, well, when you were leaking those war crimes, I mean, did you consider that the names of the Iraqi people that were hidden, by the way? Like, that's the other thing. Like, the documents that were classified that she leaked were not classified to anyone, okay? I mean, were not declassified to anyone. They were also given to people who didn't just fucking release them as is, okay? They went through a redaction process, specifically so that those people are not, so those people don't get in trouble.
Given discovery and evidence, and those statements were made in 2010 and 2011. But as we came to find out later, there were no informants' names in anything. I think that this was an act.
Like, this is literally a fucking counter. It's a State Department propaganda point against Chelsea to like try to soften the blow, okay? To try and soften the blow of all of the horrifying truths that she unearthed, okay? And this motherfucker is literally continuing on with it, regardless of the fact that it was already, it already was exposed to be untrue.
Accident, or at least an assumption made on the part of the Information Review Task Force that was put together, where they made a statement that it could put people's harms, could put people in harm's way. But I was very careful in, not identifying what is called source identifying information, which is covered under a very different classification and protocol system.
There are a lot of traumatizing experiences that you write about from your childhood, from the military, from your prison time. One that I had not heard you speak about before is that you are a survivor of sexual assault while in the military. Last month, as you may know, in a confidential survey, some 36,000 service members said they had been victims of sexual assault. Reports were up 13% last year. That's just what's being reported, of course.
Yeah.
There are victims out there who, like you, feel like they can't report it because no one will believe them or no one will care. Tell us about that.
So yeah, while I was in the military, and especially under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because this was with I was presenting as male, and the other person was a male. So it would have been even any kind of relation whatsoever that happened in that time frame would have been impermissible. And also, this was an officer and an enlisted encounter, and it became a non-consensual encounter. And my immediate instinct was to hide it, to cover it up, and to pretend that it didn't happen, and it started to eat at me.
I'm so sorry that happened. You dedicate this memoir to trans kids. Over the past year, we've seen a lot of legislation about trans kids. I'm wondering what you would say to any of the lawmakers introducing these bills, keeping trans kids from the bathrooms they want to use or being who they are, what you would say to these lawmakers.
I mean, I have less of a message for the lawmakers and more of a message to the kids, which the lawmakers can hear if they so choose, which is that, like we've faced reactionary waves, reactionary attacks against the queer and trans community throughout history, whether it be the HIV and AIDS pandemic, whether it be under the Reagan administration with Anita Bryant and moral majority. We've faced this before, and I faced, my own,
Who is this? She's slaying.
Like sort of reactionary rollbacks before in my own life, that even regardless of what the law says, you are valued as a human being, you're valued as a person, and we have survived these kinds of things and progressed past these things, even whenever things do get rolled back. So even though I do expect that rollbacks will continue.
Chelsea, you did great in spite of Jake Tapper's incessant bootlicking and, I would say, desperate pleas to still make you look bad. You did a great job.
Continue. I hope to bring at least some light into thinking about the future and the optimism that I have towards getting past this, because we've survived as a community.
All right, Chelsea Manning, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake.
Evergreen tweet from you. Jake Tapper belongs on Fox News. That was because he was being, I think, like, aggressive towards Brandon, probably, right? Or aggressive towards, like, Democrats and almost, like, defending Trump. He's a nice guy. Sure.